Hi there. Today I'm going to be going over how you would analyse a hand in depth if you were to really look into it, spend a bit of time on one hand, how I would approach it, how I think a lot of the good players are approaching it. I think you can just do a lot of good work this way. So I'm going to jump into it. I'm going to show you the hand first. Just going to do the one hand. I'm going to do it in Pio. We're going to use GTO solutions first, then we're going to node lock it for how we think the opponent plays. Also give you a little bit dynamic. So we're 18 left in a $33 tournament. There is 2.3k up top. Our table right now, we have two good dregs. We have four other okay players. Not great, but they're okay. The guy opening is one of the better players at the table. He's been quite loose so far. So I expect him to have quite a loose range. I'll get into his range in a minute. But first we'll just play the hand out. So he raises, we call. Good 3-bet. But I don't want to 3-bet fold off the stack depth. Jamming doesn't really accomplish much. He doesn't call off many worse hands. So I like call here. Keeping in his like ace-8 offsuit and that. I think he'll be raising type of hands like these. So we'll get the flop. He goes for a third pot. I think he's be going for like a third pot with range. I think he wants to mix sizings. We'll get into that in the Pio sim, but right here I think it was the mixed sizings. He's got a lot of bets. Want to go a third pot, clear out some equity, like King Jack, Queen Jack. They just want to clear out some like Jack 5 of spades, stuff like that. So I think third pot and big bets work well here. We could raise. I don't think I've got too many hands that want to raise though. And then like my strong hands, ace 9, ace 6, I would raise them. You could make the argument that I want to raise ace jack here though, due to the fact that I don't have ace queen, ace king, so I'm kind of top of my range. If I don't have a two pair set here, I'm basically like, after that I have ace jack. So we could raise here. I went for the call, don't need much protection. We're deep in a tournament. I like having some strong hands in the call range. So go for the call. Good turn for him to barrel his bluffs. Always queen 10s, his jack 10s, his jack 8s, even like his under pairs, they're all going to bluff, I would say. He goes for that size, which is interesting. I think it's a decent size. The equity share quite a lot here, so I don't think he needs to go a huge size. He's going to get check jammed on a lot, which means like he doesn't want to like go a massive size with like queen 10 of diamonds and then have to fold. So if he goes like 7 here with them type of hands, queen 10 of spades and a jam, it's in a really bad spot. So I really like his size in here. Like he can get away now if I jam and he's got queen 10 of diamonds. Like he can safely get away. If you bet bigger, maybe not. Maybe he's priced in. Again, we could jam here. He's got a lot of hands that have got a lot of equity against us. 7-8 suited. He's going to have call-offs as well, like 7-8 spades. Some massive combo draws like King Queen of Diamonds. So we could jam here. I felt like he's going to the type of player to overdo it on rivers though, with some hands. So like under pairs, Jack 10. He was the type of player that I thought would do that. So I decided to call again, and then this river comes, and actually, this is such a bad hand in my opinion to call down. So I'm just going to go through how I would approach this, like using my like expertise of like playing, and then we'll look at the solutions. But right here, he's got a lot of value jams. Ace 6 of spades, ace king, ace 9, 6s, 9s, king 9 suited, king 6 suited, and then he's got hands like 10-8 suited, 10-8 clubs, 10-8 all suits. He's got jack 10 of spades. He's got a lot of flushes here. So like we want to be looking at blockers here for call offs, and this hand is not a great block for the is not a great hand to call off in my opinion. We block some of the jam range for sure. We block aces. We block ace king. We block ace 9. We block ace 6 suited. We block ace 7 suited. So we block some things. Here though, a lot of the bluffs I thought at the time, like what are his main bluffs? 4s, 5s, 3s, deuces, with a spade. They're going to happen. They happen. I think there's quite a creative play, and a good player will use them sometimes. This guy, I would say, is capable of it. So when he's bluffing, he's going to have those hands, and then he's going to have like jack 10, queen 10, queen jack. The ones with the spade are going to be the most prominent follow throughs, I would say. They're also the biggest weight of his bluffs, because like he's got the pairs, they make up 6 combos each, but then queen 10, queen jack, they're making up 12 without the without the suits, and I think it's like, I think it would be 4 or 6 maybe, like with one spade combos, like queen 10 with one spade, you know. So that's making up quite a lot of combos. So I believe that here the jack's really bad because he's going to have like queen jack, queen of spades, jack of hearts, a lot of these hands. My jack does nothing for me here in terms of blocking his value range. It does absolutely squidish. So like I thought to myself, I'd rather have like ace 4 with his 4 in spades, you know, or even like ace 10 blocks 10-8, some of them combos. But my jack does literally nothing here. Since I don't have ace queen pre as well, like this is literally the worst ace I could call. Like even ace deuce, the hearts would be a much better call, due to the fact that he's never going to have a deuce in his hand when he's bluffing. So like ace jack's like a pretty clear fold to me. So we're going to look at Pile, and I have a few questions loaded up here. So here's my questions here. Part 1, we're going to look at how we should be playing in GTO, and then we'll get into them. But we'll just go one by one at the minute. So this is... Right, so I'm going to put these on the side. I'm going to put that in the top corner here. And then we're going to put that here. So let's go to the flop. First question you want to ask yourself. I've made up these questions, so this is how I would do it. I would make up some questions, because if you go into Pio or HRC or whatever you're using, and then you're just like endlessly scrolling about, you're not really learning too much. You need to ask a question. What do you want answered? Like, I look at the flop and I'm like, should I raise ace jack here? It's quite a strong hand. He's c-betting 100% of his range. Should I raise? So this is my first question. What type of check raising frequency should I be applying here? So, check, and like we said, he's going to have a mix of sizings. And it wants to do that. It wants to have some third pots and it wants to have some big bets. The big bets are mainly coming from the strong hands. Ace king, ace queen, even ace 10 is good enough to shove here. Like we said, we've got ace jack at best here. So he can put in some big bets with these type of hands. He gets me to call so many worse ace X. I defend ace 5 off pre, ace 4 off pre. So a lot of big bets there. You're noticing that the small bets are coming for like king jack, because he's not really accomplishing too much with king jack. He's just like folding out some random equity. That like jack 5 of spades, whereas if I check back, he might turn a 7, might start bluffing his jack 5 of spades. Don't want that to happen, and we clearly have the range advantage here. So it's going to have some small bets with hands like king jack, king queen, that don't really accomplish much from betting big. Hands that do though, hands like jack 8 suited, queen 8 suited, where we're betting big, we're folding out the king jacks that we have, the king 10s, the queen 10s, stuff like that. So these are the type of hands it's going for. As you can see, king 5 suited, folding out some king 10 of hearts is great for us. You know, those type of hands. These hands are good for it as well. So we'll look at the equities first. Equity of imposition. We're doing super well on this board. We've got so many hands that are doing so well. I'm going to bring that over a little bit. So as you can see, we've got loads of hands with just over 80% equity. And even the rest of our range is like 70%, which is just massive. Hands down here. So we're actually doing super well. Him, he's got all these just misses, you know, all these clear misses. Even these hands are doing terribly. So he goes for the small bet. We go for the... Oh, sorry. So the next question was... the first question, what type of hands should we check raising? As you can see, we're not check raising too often. And it's due to just being smashed by his range. We've got only 40% equity. Don't have too many hands we want to raise, to be honest. The strategy here. It wants to raise the clear ones, ace 9, ace 6. You can see ace 6 is a good hand to call. Top and bottom usually a good one to call. The 9 is going to come a lot. It's not going to come a lot, but when it comes, we're just tossed to kicker problems. We're going to struggle on a lot of board runouts, so it's good. It's a good trap to have. Pocket 9s isn't in our range. Neither's pocket 6s. So that's the thing, right? We've got such a small value range here for raising. Like, we have ace jack to stack off with, which could raise for sure. But like, we're struggling for hands. And see, when we've got so little amount of hands to choose from to raise, you can just ignore this. You can just ignore the raise. You can just play a whole call strategy. Make your life easier. So as you can see, the straight raising range we would write down is 4%. Basically negligible. The next question. Is my hand in particular a pure check raise? We just looked at that, or raising a lot even. And as you can see, it wants to raise some frequency, like a small amount. The EVs are the same, pitter patter. It does not matter. Like you don't need to look at that and be like, oh, I need to frequency raise. Fuck that. Just play call if you feel more comfortable in that node. See when the EVs are that close, choose what you are most comfortable playing on later streets. If you feel you're going to have a better idea of range if you call, you call. So that's just the way I would approach it in that spot. So yes, but not really too much difference. Right. What sizing should he be liking with his range on this turn? What hands like to do what? So let's have a look. Call. We had the turn is the king of spades. Check. So, like we said, he doesn't have too many big bets, doesn't have too many of these size bets. It's mostly this and a little bit of this. So it's mixing between like 50-60%. The hands he's going to choose to bet, obviously, is two pairs. Most stage ace-x wants to bet. But as we said, we're going to have a lot of check jams, and you'll see that on the turn, that we have a lot of check jams. And due to that, I don't think he wants to be pumping in too much money. The money's going in anyway if he's got ace-king, stuff like that. So I think going for a half pot, 60% looks fine here. And as you can see, he's starting to bluff with hands like deuces through fives, even without this bit, without the spade. Sorry. So, what type of hands? The queen tens, the jack tens, the queen jacks, like we said, going to be the obvious bluffs. Then he's got a few like, you know, curveballs, jack seven of hearts, folding out some random diamonds, even folding out some like, you know, jack deuce and diamonds maybe. So that looks quite clever. A couple of them. Again though, they're only a couple of combos each, so it's not important to get that in your mind that you need to bluff these. Not important. So, sizings you would like. I'm going to stretch that out just a little. So, around 50 to 60% as ranges are shared quite a lot in equity. And I'll show you what I mean by that when they're shared a lot in equity. Also, our value is stacking regardless, and he has a few check jams now. And that's not a case a lot where the big blind's got a ton of jams on a board with two broadways on it. Double flush draw though, with a couple of combo draws available, it is going to be a thing. So he bets 45, right? We're actually jamming like 10%, which is quite a decent amount to consider. I would say that's a range that you should consider like using, like not just thinking it's negligible. I'd say that's one to consider. And as you can see, it's hands like 8-7, king 9, king 6, hands that are vulnerable in our range. Like about, yeah, ace 6, ace 9, and then a couple of like massive combo draws. So I think that makes sense. Jack 8 of diamonds is a good one actually. Makes him fold some queen X of diamonds if he bets it. So should be jamming turn with my hand, and actually it likes to jam my hand in Pio, and that's interesting. I spoke to somebody about this and they said the same. They said they would jam it, and that's fine. I think you can jam this. I just thought that my opponent, like I said when we were looking over the hand history, that my opponent would be following through maybe a little bit too much. And I want to keep these hands in. I want to get that EV for the queen 10 is the queen 10 that might follow through every time, because I'm going to be calling a lot of rivers. So that was my reason for calling. I don't need too much protection. I only lose to like he's going to have spades and diamonds sometimes. But since I didn't think at the time that there were that many, but actually looking at it now, there are quite a few. Like there's going to be some like middling diamonds, middling spades, and that makes up quite a good portion of the deck. And since I'm going to arrive with a bad blocker a lot, I'm not going to be able to improve a lot. So it's going to be a good one to jam, because I'm going to have a tough time calling. And as you've seen, I did have a tough time calling on the river here. So yeah, we went for the call, which is fine. EVs are similar, making a lot like one big more. It's negligible. So we go for the call. River is the 7 of spades. So next hand, yes. What the GTO follow throughs for him is bluffs. So let's have a look at that because that's quite interesting. And let's also look at what they're making. Check. Right, these are his all-ins. Let's look at the bluffs. So what do we say the bluffs were? Queen Jack, Queen 10, Jack 10. So the bluffs that I'm really liking are Jack 8 hearts, like an absolute oddball, which is quite interesting. Jack 8 hearts blocks some of the top air calling range. Our top call downs are like Ace Jack, Ace 8. Maybe not in that river actually. But again, I'm not going to get into why that is what it is. It's one combo. Sometimes it just does it to balance. The main ones that are bluffing though are the under pairs, which is nice. We don't block any of the pairs plus draws, you know, type of hands. And yeah, we don't interact with like the middle of the board at all, and we do have a spade. So as you can see, 4s with a spade, 3s with a spade, deuces with a spade. They're the typical 2 bluffs. And then it's using Jack 10 quite a lot. Even without a spade. Nah, it's actually checking without a spade. So the spade, these type of hands, Jack 10 is the highest frequent, Queen 10, Queen Jack are quite similar in frequency also. Right, so let's write that. I've got something important to say. Jack 10, Queen 10, Queen Jack, under pairs with spade and some random curveballs with no suits attached. Right, so just before we go into this next question, something to say is that let's look at the, so like it's all cool to be like, these are nice follow throughs, do it. Let's look at how much they're making, right? So this pot's worth 170 and it's actually times it by 10. So imagine the pot's 17 big blinds, okay? And we have 5s here. We're risking our whole stack. So say we take this 5s one, we're risking our whole stack. 17 bigs in the middle. If we check it back, we make 1.3 big blinds on average. Whereas with jam, we make 18 big blind, 1.8 big blinds on average. Right, that's cool, we're making some profit, but it's your tournament life, and you need to be very fucking sure that your opponent's folding the hands you want them to fold, or else you're the one punting the money. And that's very important to think about because because I've been bad for this, I'll follow through, think it's a good bluff, think it's creative, but it's not where the money comes from. And I want you to realise this because it will save you a ton of money. So these are the best bluffs. Jack 10 is the same story, it's making 1 big blind as opposed to 0.65. Jack 10 there, top, middle. So it's worth being aware that these are the bluffs. If you're in a really tough table, choose these bluffs. But apart from that, be very careful, be aware of them, but don't always choose them, and choose them when you think it's right. So, should we be calling a particular holding? Bet. As you can see, our hand, based on GTO, what he bluffs, and we're going to pull up the node locking one after this, and talk about, we'll get in it. This one, we can see it's making minus 0.45, so it's making like break even, just losing. And I thought a play like that against a good player who is going to be, I'm not going to have too much an edge off, and there's going to be better spots at the table. I think this is a really good one to lay down. And as we can see, we were right in our thinking, and I thought this at the time, which I'm quite proud of. Ace 4 with the ace of spades is making 1.7 big blinds on average compared to 0. So that's a decent call. Like that's decent. There's a difference there. Instead of it being like 0.3 bigs, it's actually 1.7 big blind difference, which is quite a noticeable number to consider. And I would say a call is definitely appropriate here sometimes with those type of hands. Because if we have the ace of spades, he's now not got, he would play this line with every ace-6 of spades. Ace deuce through ace queen suited of spades. It's quite a lot of combos we block of his value range, so I like that it's choosing this to call off other types of hand. I've got a leaf. Getting a little fly there. So yeah, what other type of hands it like? It likes calling off. Yeah, it's mostly them. You can see there, look at that. 9-8. Again, very important. When you're calling off here, you want to, it's not about hand strength. If he's bluffing, any of your pairs, like if he's bluffing, it's the worst hand he'd be bluffing with here would maybe be 7-8 suited. Even in GTO though, that one's the check because it still wins against some like 6x and diamonds. So let's assume that the best bluff you can have in showdown is like 7x. Meaning that 9-8 is actually a better call than ace jack. Because 9-8 blocks nines, it blocks two pairs, and it has a spade in it. 9 of spades blocks some jack 9 of spades, queen 9 of spades, 10 9 of spades, and then we also block some 10-8 suited. 1 10-8 suited. But yeah, that's like a better call. Again though, that's making peanuts, you know. Well, that one in particular is not. Yeah, that one is making peanuts. They're making peanuts as call offs. Yeah, but the ace 5 one's decent. So no break even. What is the weight comparison between his bluffs and what he can shove for value? So to do this, what I mean by this is like how much of this range is going to be bluffs in GTO and how much of it is going to be value in GTO. So I'll go to Range Explorer here and we look at flushes, 11%, quite a decent amount. Top pair, so let's look at two pair. Two pairs are always shoving for value. Oh, sorry, we need to go back one step. That's my calling range. So Range Explorer. So his flushes are always jamming, so that's 5%. His sets always jamming, there's 10%. 2%, two pairs always jamming. So a good way to do that. Just if you don't think they're always jamming or that, or you're not sure, you just click on strat, see what it's doing. So shoving all them. So now we're up to 10, 22, like 33 top pairs. They're all checking back, so we'll not include any of them. So yeah, 33% is value. Let's look at his bluffs. So when does he start bluffing? He starts bluffing his low pairs, so these combos. So like, let's say like 5 of them, because there's 6 available and they're not full. So let's just say 5, another one of them, 10 combos, 15, 20 combos. We'll do it in combos because I'm not entirely sure how much percentage that is. So it's 15 combos, and then nothings, a couple of these, in fact quite a lot of these. 15, say like 10, 25, say like 26, 5-4 suited occasionally. 30, let's say around 30 combos, but he's no draws. No draws. These are oh, is that just them all put together? Yeah, that's just them all put together. Yeah, that's them all put together, sorry. So yeah, for bluffs we're looking at 33 combos. For value, 5, 10, 15, I think 15. She's got like a 1 to 2, which is quite interesting. A 1 to 2 value bluff. 1 to 2 value bluff. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Maybe I've made a little error, but I'm pretty sure that is correct based on what we've seen. Around about that, 30 bluff combos with 15 for value. So, yeah, interesting. Now we are going to look at, so we looked at the GTO. Then I'm going to pull up a node lock sim. This one's interesting actually. I thought it was really interesting. So what I've done here is the pieces I've locked is on the turn. A couple of things that I don't think the population are doing that you might want to consider. On the turn, it says that he is betting. Oh, I apologise. That is the same sim. King, check. So yeah, I'll compare these just now. Right, what I've done was the difference in the betting ranges. I've changed it to that he is just betting slightly less, because in the GTO it says that he's betting all these king jack like full frequency. I don't believe that's a thing. I think people are checking back a lot, so I took quite a few of these out. And what I also done was I think it was just that. Yeah, it was just that. I took out a few of those. Yeah, I took out a few of the King X combos because I didn't think that was the difference. That was the only difference, but I had them like quite a decent frequency. I don't think that's happening in game. No, it's quite negligible to be honest. I don't think that's a big deal. What is a big deal is the river. River play. So let's go with this. 45, call, 7 of spades, check. So do the same on this. Call, 7 of spades. So, oh, what the fuck. Oh, sorry, that's on his best check. So, GTO suggests that this guy should be betting 52% of his range on the river, right? I created the situation, so we know that versus GTO, my call is just losing. What about I get against a guy that bluffs like every combo? All the queen tens, full frequency, not even with a spade, all on the pairs. And then some like busted flush draws, 5-4 of diamonds, like 100% of the time. How do I approach that situation? So now I've changed it to 72% betting frequency. There you go. It's betting these full frequency, right? These deuces. And now we need to ask ourselves a couple of questions. If I adjust this turn range, right, we did it's negligible like we said. We only changed a couple of the King X combos. So I'm just going to delete that question. Against an aggressive reg who is following through, how much does a call make, or should we even be calling? So based on what we think, like what we've seen, if we adjust that, we're probably going to be calling. But how much is it going to make us? So bet. And I thought this was really interesting. So ace jack now. It's making 107 off a 390 pot, so it's a snap call. And it would be an absolute criminal move to fold. Like it's basically calling for value. Like that's literally because he's just bluffing so often. Whereas here, it's making minus 4.58. However, this is assuming that the guy bluffs every time, and I don't think that's correct. I just wanted to give you an idea of how the sim would look and how much your call would actually be worth if you were to go in there in that node. And just because I don't think a lot of this is on YouTube where people are going in depth in these spots. So what I thought I'd do live is just give him a range that I would use. I'm not sure that I'm perfect in my bluffing frequencies, but like I think I've got a feel for how the other rigs are playing, and we can see if I was to change his range, what the result would be. So let's go somewhere between GTO and bluffing every hand. So what we do is we go to Right, so what we do is we go to proportional, fixed on bet 220, changes range. So in this spot, let's assume that the guy is... Let's assume that the guy's doing half queen 10, half jack 10, and then like that a queen jack, and then the under pairs I'm going to go with like 40, because that's going to be some spade combos and then occasionally not. In fact, I'm going to make a little bit tighter, just a little bit tighter. Maybe. And then, yeah, I think, and like what about 5-4 of diamonds? Let's give him that. And I also added oh yeah, so that's actually really fucking less. So we're gonna take out a few of the suited combos. As you can see, I've got jack 9, jack 8, 10 9, 10 8, 9 8. We're gonna take these out. I don't think that's happening in game. 8-7 of diamonds, I don't think that's happening. So yeah, clubs. Yeah, I don't think 8-7 is happening every time. 6 is 2 pair. Don't think 5-4 clubs is happening often. So you need to go through each one. There's not that many, so it's not that hard. Take out 8-7. Take out jack 8. Take out jack 10. Take out, yeah, they're 2 pairs. Spades or flushes. Let's change that. So now that range in GTO, actually, this is a range that is less than GTO, because it was 52 for GTO and it was 72 for every bluff. It's actually less than GTO, which is great for us because it's going to make our call obviously more losing. We don't need to look at that. We can just look at if he's doing less than GTO, our call waste jack becomes worse clearly. So we're going to be losing like -6, -7 maybe. I'd assume. I don't think there's a point in running it. So let's assume that, and let's just change it a little bit more just to get a good idea. Let's change that to. Let's change the under pairs about, because I don't know how often this guy's doing under pairs. We change that, it goes up to GTO. So let's take an average and just say it's 50%, right? 50%, I would say it is. In the ballpark of like 47 to like 53, stuff like that, I would say, in terms of what he's doing in game. Like if he doesn't bluff the pairs, it goes down to 48. If he does, it goes up to 43. If he changes his queen 10s, queen jacks, it goes up to 53 perhaps, 55. And because of that, our call's never going to really go above 0. But it's important, if you've got an absolute splashy guy at your table and he is falling through a lot, you want to be letting go of these you want to be calling these H-jacks so frequency. Your blockers don't matter. If the guy's going to like, your blockers don't matter. So yeah, do we have any more questions to answer? So against the reg, which comes every time with almost every bluff. Yes, snap call, blockers irrelevant. What about someone who rarely bluffs and only chooses very optimal bluffs? Should we be calling, and how much is it making? Well, I mean, we don't really need to run that now that I think about it. If the guy rarely bluffs, using logic, it's clear that our bluffs, our call is going to go down to like definitely below -10. Because if you take out the queen 10s, with spades, jack 10s, queen jacks, and under pairs, if we take these out, straight away it's just plummeting, and we're already at negative, so should be calling. And what if someone really bluffs and only chooses very optimal bluffs? No, we're losing quite a lot due to the fact we are Right, so the last few questions in exploitive, I think it's quite self-explanatory. Like, we're going to get to that answer a lot. It's good to see the numbers. We don't know the numbers off by heart. We're never going to know them in game. So it's good to keep yourself fresh with that. However, this is just an example like how you would really dive deep instead of, if you're not entirely sure, this is how you would do it. You would look at this. You can make this a little bit more, you can make it a little bit more more accurate for sure. It's not entirely accurate because of the video purposes. I don't want to make it too long. But it's going to be around safe lines for you, for sure. So I would just copy this process if you need to do something like this and you want to have an answer. This does take time though, as you can see. I think we're around the 30-minute mark now, and to be honest, the more you play, the more this stuff's gonna come along quite easily. And in game, I thought to myself, due to my blockers here, I don't know if the guy's super lag, I just fuck my blockers like I said, and I go near a GTO, and I feel this guy will be playing along the lines of GTO. And then I went for my blockers, and like I said, 9-8 with spades a much better call than ace jack here. So is ace spade 5, ace of spades 4, stuff like that. So it is important to consider that, and also consider where you're in the tournament. Like, we're 18 left, it's a soft game, one of the softest games I would say, the softest 33s anyway. And I thought it was a good spot to pass up on. I'm glad they're done, and then we confirmed it with Piosolver and seen that there are a lot of things we can do to change how we think our opponent plays, and a lot of different results we can see. So I'm never going to get the numbers in game, but I know it's going to be around break even, because like when I've had a spot before previous that was like this, it came around the same type of idea. It was like, okay, right, if he's not bluffing that much, then you're going to be like just below. It's never going to be like super printing unless you've got a bad fundamentals for it. Sometimes you do, for sure, but this one was like quite good to narrow down, I thought, in game. I ran it through a couple of people and they also said fold. But yeah, this video is just to show how I would approach node locking, how you can approach Pio, how it's going to help you study. Because when I first got Pio, I wasn't sure how to do this. I just kind of spent some time on it, and yeah. But like I said, this isn't, if you're playing like low mid stake, this isn't the best use of your time, I wouldn't say. It's just good to know how to do that if you ever need to check up on something, keep yourself fresh. But yeah, playing and analysing hands is going to be, you're going to be able to analyse a lot more hands in 30 minutes than you are doing one hand, so in this way. So yeah, keep on playing your best and use this if you think it was helpful. Please like the video if you think it was helpful also. I was looking forward to doing this actually. I've just sprung up a late night study session. So that's going to be the end of the video. Put a thumbs up if you did enjoy the video, and I will see you later.